This is the Group Chat. In a world that focuses on the individual, we live life in groups. The Group Chat is meant to spark meaningful conversations about meaningful topics. We think in community, talk in community, and thrive in community. Welcome to the Group Chat.
Yo, what's up, Scoundrels? It is your boy, Telos.
And your girl, HB.
And this is the Group Chat where we have meaningful conversations about meaningful topics. Scoundrels. Come on.
I don't have any space up here for the word scoundrel.
Not even like a picture. Like nothing comes to mind when you think scoundrel.
I think of a sword and a shield.
Like
a medieval times type thing.
Okay. A scoundrel. Gotcha. Yep. No, I can see it. I can see it.
At?
For some reason, I think of some parent or some adult on Scooby-Doo looking at the gang and being like, "You scoundrels."
What? Are there parents on Scooby-Doo?
I don't know. You know, no, maybe parents is the wrong word. You know how they end each episode with "you meddling kids," but it's the monster revealed as a person? I imagine that person would call them a scoundrel.
Scoundrel.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're...
That's all I got.
Pretty different. I don't know. I don't know where I've heard that word before, but never, ever used it. I don't know if I've ever even... I'm sure I've read it before somewhere, but I don't know where.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
You read that word often?
No.
No?
Never.
Hear it often?
No. I don't even know how it came to my brain. Here's a question for you, all right?
Okay.
Would you rather...
Oh, I love a good one.
Sweat every time you drank liquid.
Mm.
Or, what was the other one? Oh no.
Oh, this is a bummer.
Oh no. It was sweat every time you drank a liquid. Or fart every time you ate a solid. That's what it was.
Or fart every time you ate a solid. What are we talking about sweating?
You drink lemonade. And all of a sudden, you start perspiring.
Droplets.
Yeah.
Just on my face.
No, you start sweating.
Everywhere.
Wherever you sweat.
Sweat, that's the thing. Southern girls don't sweat, they glisten. That's what my mama said.
If you're hydrated, you sweat.
Okay.
Yeah, every time you drink. So you go to a restaurant. You're in your room. You're in the movie theater.
Every time.
You start sweating.
I feel like I eat solids more than I do drink liquids. It takes longer for me to do. So I feel like it's like every bite.
It's like while you're eating, you're farting. And it's like while you're drinking.
So I'm thinking I think I could just down a bottle of water or something.
Right, sure.
And then be hydrated and then just sweat and then it would.
Yeah.
Dry and then it'd be stinky.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing is that a sweat lasts longer. A fart is embarrassing in the moment. You smell
but I
whatever.
eat snacks all the time. I don't eat 3 meals a day.
That's rough.
That's rough.
You just snack.
I feel like I'm just gonna flip a coin.
Really?
I don't know.
You don't even really? Wow.
I think I would probably.
This is a good one. It stumped you.
I know.
Wow.
I think I'd probably do the...
On 3, I'm gonna say what you think you would do. So you're gonna say what you would do on 3, and I'm gonna say it at the same time.
Okay, I don't know though.
You have to pick one. You have 5 seconds. You either say fart or sweat. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fart. I knew it. Really? Okay, which one do you think I would do? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Fart.
Sweat.
Really?
The feeling.
I don't like being sweaty at all.
I don't like the feeling of always having to fart because then you have to
Well, yeah, I don't either, but it would just always come out, so I wouldn't be bloated or anything.
I was about to get into the biology of farts, and then I realized nobody wants to hear that.
But think about if I just took a sip of water right now.
Right. All of a sudden, right now.
Absolutely not.
I think it's way better than... Okay.
You're dripping wet right now.
Yeah.
No, that's not it.
But here's the thing. If you eat You're just like eating lunch with like your mom. Normal. Fine. It's like your mom's like, okay, why'd you fart? But all of a sudden, like, you're at dinner. You're in public. You're at like a staff luncheon. And all of a sudden you eat the bite of that taco and you just gotta...
I think I just have to remove myself. And...
You just eat alone for the rest of your life?
But the same thing's gonna happen if you're drinking while you're at your staff luncheon. You're drinking your water or your Sprite and you're just profusely sweating.
You come with like headbands. With like them like sweatbands. Facts. You're always ready to ball. You're always ready. People just think you're ready to ball. Really,
Yeah.
you're just... You carry deodorant.
I would have to change my whole swag.
From what to what?
I would have to be wearing like sweatbands, like that I actually did something.
That's the question. That's interesting. I
just don't like being in wet clothes that I'm not supposed to be wet in. That's very uncomfortable. Think about
when
in
it's
the
like
summer.
sticking to you. Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
In the summer when it's just hot and you're just like,
But you're sweating all the way anyway in the summer.
Huh?
Aren't you sweating anyway in the summer?
Not really.
Maybe we sweat very different amounts.
We definitely do. I don't sweat a lot at all.
I don't sweat like a lot. Like I'm not like dripping, but I sweat.
I don't really sweat. Like it takes a lot for me to sweat.
You ever go in saunas?
No, I don't really like them. I feel like I can't breathe in them.
Oh. You tan though. Outside tanning does.
Outside.
Do you sweat when you're outside tanning?
So if I'm not by water, I do.
What?
So if I'm
by
like
water,
at
you
the
just
pool,
jump in.
if I'm at
you're
the
saying.
pool, then I'll just jump. If I start getting hot, I just jump in the water, come back out, and I'm cooled down. Don't
Right,
sweat.
makes sense. But if
Same
you're
thing
just
on the
like
lake.
you're just out there like on your deck and you
I don't really do that as much.
Oh, that's why you don't sweat.
Okay.
We're talking about sweat and farts way too much for this episode, and I'm just gonna cut us off right there because if anybody's still listening, they're like, "What?
Why
Why
are they still
they-
debating?
Why are they talking about how much they sweat and how much they fart?" That's the issue of a really good question, but also the fun of one. It's like now I'm considering, and I'm like, sweating or fart? Anyway, we're learning more about each other. I'll take it as that.
There we go.
Great.
Sure.
Please ask me what our topic is so we can get off of this
What
topic.
is our topic today?
Can I get a good old HB drum roll real quick? Woo! We are back, baby. Come on now. Okay, the topic of today is, can Christians party?
Oh
Christians
boy!
party?
I'll ask you the question.
Great question. This hit a nerve for good old HB. Are you a partier? Like, do you like parties?
Honestly, not really. Not with like a lot of people.
Right.
I don't. After college, I moved back here and I worked a corporate job, and my
Right.
boss was like, "Hey, you're gonna come to this like event with me," and there's like a cocktail hour, before it and
Right.
stuff, and I was just like so uncomfortable, and not
Really?
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I was just like, I think part of it was because everyone there was doing the work that I wasn't doing. I was just like, not even a +1. I was just like there. And so all of everything that they had to talk about, I knew nothing about. And I was just like, okay, this is,
gotcha.
and I didn't know anyone there
Yeah.
except for my boss that I went with. And
So, but if you had invited the guest list for a cocktail hour, for like a little party, that same exact situation,
if
but
I
you
know the
invited,
people,
right, would you like it?
yeah. But I don't like enough people to call it a party. It's just a gathering at that
I don't
point.
like enough people. Okay, it just begs the question, and I promise I won't be offended. Am I on the list?
Yes, you
Okay,
are.
I'm just gonna close my eyes and be like, am I on the list of the party people?
I mean,
Wow,
I
that's not bad. That's just funny.
so
And I
I guess
think I
it
agree.
depends on it probably depends on a lot of things. Like, what are we defining party as?
Right, I think that's a big question, because when we ask the question, can Christians party? It's the question of like a grad party. Can Christians go to a grad party?
I hope so.
I surely hope so, or else, whoops.
I've missed the mark quite a few times.
Or else, sorry Jesus.
Yeah,
type
birthday
question.
party. Okay.
Right, sure.
All of those can be a little wild sometimes.
That's a great. Soaking grad parties.
Facts.
And so I think that the type of party matters.
And what's happening at the party.
Right. So when you think of party, what do you think of? Like, just you hear the word party. Like, let's go to a party. You think?
I think lots of people are going to be there.
Mhm.
I can't define the word lots yet, but lots of people are going to be there. There's going to be music. There's going to be
Right.
laughter. There's going to be food, most importantly.
Food is not in my definition of party.
Not even like some wings?
No.
Some sliders?
No. Tragic.
Yeah, I don't know why that is. I don't know what kind of parties you've been at.
But that's the thing. You know, interesting. I didn't like parties for me growing up, at least. Like, just being honest, when we think about like who we're talking to, our audience, young people, middle schoolers, high schoolers, potentially college, depends on how old you are, right? High school parties are typically like, come over, dark room, probably some substances, and let's have some fun that we probably don't talk about in loud voices, usually in hushed tones later.
Even at those type of parties, we had food.
Not me.
Wow.
Yeah.
You went to a different high school than me.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Ask me how many parties I went to in high school.
How many parties did you
Like
go to?
2.
Oh, okay.
Yes. I did.
Experienced, I see.
But here's the thing. Like, I just did not go to a lot of parties in high school for real. Like, grad parties don't count.
Yeah.
Like, But, like, as soon as I got to college, it was so interesting. I say that because as soon as I got to college, people started inviting me to all these different parties, and I was so thrown off because I thought parties were for a purpose, like a graduation party, a birthday party. We won the championship, a party. We finished the run of a show, a party. Like, that's the parties that I was used to. You do it for a purpose.
Not
in college,
just come and kick it. That's a kickback.
Right.
Yeah.
College was like, oh, come to a party, and I was like, what are we celebrating? And it's like,
I feel like
Saturday. It's the weekend.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and
Sunday. You're celebrating the weekend, and I that was something new for me. I just didn't know.
I think in high school I didn't go to that. I don't know, like that many parties that like if they got busted, it was like you're getting in trouble.
Yeah.
But like they were still, I don't know, like it would be. It was called a party, but like now looking at it, it would be a kickback for me. But I don't know. And then in college, it was like, parties were pretty different.
Right.
But then like when I got involved in campus ministry and stuff, like one of our friends had like a house, and so we would have kickbacks every weekend, and it was just like food, music, like we would even be in that way, like worshiping, like it was great. It was, it was a whole.
Yeah, I think it's something interesting you said, because I think it's so important to define what kind of parties we're talking about. Whether when we answer the question, can Christians party? I think the answer is yes.
Yeah. Christians
can party. The question is, the question is, what are we really defining as like a party, and what does it mean to really like what kind of party is it? So in like my experience, what you said, like if it gets busted, we're gonna be in trouble.
Right.
Hints at the term like illegal, right? So are you doing illegal things there, right?
Yeah.
If you're drinking underage, can
Drugs.
Christians party? Are you smoking? Are you doing stuff you're not supposed to do? Like that, it's a pretty safe answer.
You can. Is
Right,
it the best choice? Absolutely not.
Exactly. And the question is like, is it going to please God? If we're talking to Christians, no.
Yeah.
It won't. You can't please God and sin at the same time.
No.
So if you're going to be sinning, which is just missing the mark, and the mark is set by Jesus of being sober-minded, the mark is set by Jesus as in, so those things, if we're doing any of those things illegally, I think it's pretty simple, no. But then oftentimes it's more nuanced than that. It's not just as simple as like, okay, well, if I go to a party and I'm not drinking and I'm not smoking, can I still go to a party?
Yeah. It's funny you say that. So like when I started the campus ministry in college called Ransom, I would like go to parties with like friends and basketball team and stuff. But I realized...
Sorry, if I can ask, when you say I would go to parties, what does that party look like?
It was like, most of the time at like a house or an apartment or something like that with there was probably there was drinking going on.
And music and
Yeah.
lights low type stuff.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And then a lot of times, then everyone would go out. I never really went out.
Right.
I would just go back home.
But
But what I realized was when I started that campus ministry, like I really had to choose of like, am I going to still associate myself, not just with these people, but with this lifestyle?
Absolutely.
And because at the end of the day, when you see people with a red Solo cup at a party, well, what you defined as a party just
right.
then, they're going to think like, oh, she's drinking, you know?
Right.
And so it's like, oh, she can drink and then she can go and lead this campus ministry.
Right.
And whether or not I was drinking or not, I wasn't, but like the fact that I was in that atmosphere and stuff, it's just like, is that worth ruining my witness, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the three standards that I would say, the questions that we should ask ourselves, whether we should go to a party or not, are three things. One, is it going to cause you to stumble? Are you going to sin? Two, is it going to cause somebody else to stumble that you bring with you? Is somebody else going to stumble? And three, is it going to stop somebody else from seeing Jesus? Mm-hmm. And like those three questions are pretty much how I base whether I'm going to go or not.
Yeah. It's
like, if I go to this party, am I going to do something I shouldn't do? Am I going to be tempted to do something I shouldn't do? Because it's so simple. If you're going to be tempted to do something you should not do in Christ, don't go. But we like to, for some reason, like...
flirt with that line.
Yeah, it's like, well, last time I was only a little bit drunk. And like last time I only like kissed like 3 people. Right. Like, and we just go across this line. So I think that's like a really easy standard. The second one has to deal with other people. And so sometimes we're like, oh, we're not responsible for them, but the Bible says we are.
Yep.
That, yes, you can't make them do something or not do something, but I can for sure, if I know that you are trying to be a vegetarian, and I go over to your house, and then I'm ordering and bringing wings, and I'm trying to, like, that's not nice.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to be a vegetarian, and you're like, I want to eat that, but I'm not going to. And the same way it is with drinking. If you're, like, engaging around somebody where you know that they don't want to drink, they don't want to hook up, they don't want to smoke, they don't want to have this lifestyle, and you're encouraging them or bringing them with you, it's not helpful.
It's not.
And then thirdly, I think it's pretty simple, but it's the one you were touching on, is are you representing Christ well wherever you're at?
Yeah.
And sometimes, like what you said, it doesn't have to do with what's true. Mm-hmm. As in, it was true that you weren't drinking, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day...
it's just an assumption. They can assume whatever, and then that's I'm going to tell so-and-so and so-and-so, and then like the whole campus, that's exaggeration, but like everyone thinks, oh, that leader of that campus ministry goes out and parties and gets drunk.
Absolutely. People are going to jump to conclusions way before they jump to questions.
Oh, 100%.
And they're going to see HB, leader of a campus ministry with a red Solo cup, and they're going to say, oh, interesting. And they will never come up, they might never come up to you.
Yeah.
But as soon as somebody asks them about Ransom or about Hannah Beth or anyone that's associated with you, the first thing they're going to think is, oh yeah, I saw her at a party. I was partying with her. Mm-hmm. And then and all of a sudden, now even if somebody still does want to get to know Jesus, you've placed a big speed bump right there in front of them. And so I think that's like one of the biggest things that you touched on is like, how do other people see you? And inherently, because we're ambassadors for Christ, now see Christ.
Yeah. And it was like tough because like I had to realize, I was like, okay, I'm going to lose these quote unquote friends who really weren't great friends. They were just poor influences. But
confusing sometimes.
Confusing, man. New places. Just don't know anything.
Thank God for grace.
Yes. But like that was, let's see, my sophomore year. I just decided like, I'm not going to go out and go to parties like this anymore. My senior year, and like I worked with the basketball team, was really close with those guys, and so like they knew that, so they stopped asking me, like, and they respected that, which was great.
Yeah. My
senior year, we won the conference championship.
Whoop, whoop.
And right, praise God, that was awesome. That was so fun. And then like we went to the NCAA tournament, and so that was like a huge deal. And so when we came back, they were all like, oh, we're partying.
Right.
And so like I remember being like, do I go? Like, this is a celebration, you know, like, this
Right.
is awesome. We're celebrating, like, how far we went this far in the NCAA tournament, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But also, like, I know things are going to be at this party. It's going to be a party that is not something that's going to
Mm-hmm.
look good, look like anything like Jesus. Maybe
Right.
not anything, but, like,
Sure.
there's
Right.
people gathering.
Yeah, right.
That's about it. And so I remember I, like, went up, some of the guys had, like, they were all going over to one of their houses before they went out. And so, like, I just went out and was with them because they knew where I stood. Like, there was not going to be, hey,
Sure.
we're tempting HB to do this.
Right.
They knew, like, what my stance was. And
Yeah.
so it was, you know, to be able to celebrate with them
Yeah.
for that little bit. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to go to sleep now.
Bye, guys.
Had so much fun. Be safe.
It's almost 10 p.m. I have to go to
Yeah.
bed. Right.
But
No. I think a big word that you mentioned there was, like, celebration. And that's probably another, like, maybe, like, qualification that I would at least consider before going to a party. Pointless parties, I think, sometimes just can only produce, like, regret,
Yeah.
for me at least, because I'm like, well, I'm here for what purpose?
Mhm. I'm
And
figuring it out.
Exactly. And as soon as you're figuring it out with so many temptations around you, you're leaning towards figuring out a temptation.
Yeah.
Like, if you just go just to hang out in a dark room with alcohol and boys and girls that you want to make out with or you want to go home with, you're putting yourself in a horrible position.
Yeah.
And especially if you know you're weak in that area.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, I would assume that most of us are weak in the area of somebody in the opposite sex, weak in the area of some type of substance,
Yeah.
or weak in the area of like our mouth. Like, what are we doing there? Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
What are we saying? And I'm just like, if we want to put ourselves in that position, granted, let's say you could not partake in some of those things, and you're still unwisely putting yourself in that position.
Yeah.
But I think that's a great point. It's like, you're putting yourself at a loss because you're trying to figure it out. But the word used in terms of celebration, because I remember when I had, like, a party at my apartment senior year of college, and it was like this huge block party that, long story short, that was thrown on our street. And my roommate was part of this Christian organization called, it doesn't matter. And it was great. Anyway. And so he invited a bunch of people over, right? And so as he invited a bunch of people over, we probably had like 100 people in our tiny apartment.
Yeah.
And
That's
that was definitely a party. Like,
Yeah.
music, games.
But no food, huh?
Actually, so here's the thing. There were vendors outside, so
Okay.
that was one thing. But we also did make a pork shoulder for some reason. I don't know
How did y'all know? Did y'all, like, what roast did they
we put it in a
smoke
crock
it?
pot.
Oh.
Yeah, so we put it in a crock pot, and it was actually fire.
How big was it? In a crock pot?
It filled the crock pot. It didn't feed everybody. We did not.
It didn't feed the 5,000.
So here's the thing: we didn't know 100 people were coming.
Okay.
We invited people, and then all of a sudden
That's
it
how
turned
it
into
happens,
yeah. But that was for sure a party,
Hmm.
and I have no doubt in my mind that God was pleased with that party. Why? Because there was no sin going
Yeah.
on, and it was all community, us celebrating because there was a concert going on right outside.
Yeah.
And so we had a purpose for what we were doing, and nobody was like tempting somebody else to sin. Nobody was sinning, and nobody was ruining their witness while we were
Mhm.
there. And we were celebrating something that was coming to us. There was a concert going outside with Judah and the Lion. You ever heard of that?
Yeah.
Funnest night ever. But that word celebration, I think, matters because even when we think biblically, we have the Jews, the Israelites, who partied.
Mm-hmm.
They partied.
Feasts.
Exactly. They had the feast
Food.
and the fest. I know. That's even the more.
You
Here's
just weren't having parties, right?
To be
Telos?
honest, you're actually kind of convincing me that all my definition of party needs to include food.
Yeah, it does. Think about how much you love food.
I love food, but here's the thing: when I was in college, those parties were not about fellowship
They weren't parties.
and food.
They weren't legit parties.
Oh, they were parties. they were
like-
parties now, and so that's my mentality because I
Yeah.
haven't been to a lot, but
Bible.
but in the Bible we see so many times like God even says, I think in like Leviticus or Exodus, he says like you need to have feasts and festivals in my name
yeah.
3 times a year.
Yeah.
Like he told them to party, but the whole point was to celebrate not themselves, but to celebrate God.
Right.
And so parties inherently can't be bad because God asks us to quote unquote party.
Yeah.
Now the parties look different because they were inherently remembering what God did.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Passover wasn't remembering when the Lord passed over, the Feast of Booths or the Feast of Unleavened Bread and things like that. Those were all tied to memories in the Israelite mind of what God had done. And it was also motivating them forward. So I think that like parties are not obviously bad, but it's definitely what are you going into that party with the intention of and what's going on at that party.
Yeah. And I think it goes to like, I don't know. I think of like who is planning this. And so like I mean I think about that when I say yes or no to a party invitation. Because at the end of the day, you could have hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to celebrate this. But if I know so-and-so is planning it, I'm like, oh, no, they got different intentions.
Sure,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so it's just like even...
Or if like so-and-so's inviting me, or if I know, exactly. Like what's the vibe of the invite?
What is the vibe of the invite? And so I think that's super important to, I don't know, help like guard yourself against like whether that's going to be a good decision or bad decision.
Absolutely. I think a question to answer honestly is, should Christians go to secular parties? So like Christian parties, like celebrations, kickbacks, whatever you want to call them, those are great. And it can't be if there's loud music, low lights, and alcohol. Because what if you're over 21, right? It's like that doesn't mean that it's sinful, right? So like what is the, and maybe we've kind of talked about like the standards, and at least I've given my 3 standards on how I qualify whether I'm going to go to a party or not. But like, should a Christian go to a secular party? And when I say that, I mean a legit, like what we're all thinking of. Like when a 17-year-old's like, there's a party at this person's house,
pull up.
Their parents aren't there, should I go as a Christian?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Oh.
I don't think it's smart.
Mm.
I mean, it's not beneficial to you and it's not beneficial to other people.
Right. What would you say to a person who's like, but I'm strong enough? Like I could...
You are not. You are not.
You don't know them. You confidently say that they're not.
I wouldn't say that to their face, probably.
Not to their face, but I do agree. You're putting yourself in a bad position at the very least.
Yeah.
And I don't know why you would give yourself a handicap.
Yeah. No, it's just you're just flirting with that line and just like being like, oh well, it's almost like you're allowing yourself. You're leaving the door open. I don't think I'm gonna walk through it. I have the strength not to, like the power, whatever you want to call it. But like, I'm approaching it, you know. And so it's not wise at the end of the day. Yeah. And I mean, our flesh is gonna pull us in and really encourage us. And then it's not just like you; it's everyone else around you who has already walked through that door, and. Then it's like, oh, well, I don't want to, I'll be fine if I just go in, you know, and like dance inside kind of thing. Right.
Throw your own party. Throw your own party. And it's like, that might sound really difficult to a lot of people. It's like, well, I miss out on a ton. To be honest, yeah, you do. You miss out on something, but you're also missing out on the pain and the regret and all of the issues that people face because of the parties that they're going to. Yeah. My encouragement would be, I think somebody's default for secular parties, and we'll all know when I say party, what we're talking about. I think your default should be no, and you should make only rare exceptions. Yeah. Because if your default is I'm gonna go to a party, I just think you're putting yourself in a bad position. Yeah. And you probably, in my experience, you're probably gonna regret it later.
Yeah. I even look back on like so many other parties that like I have been to, and like been like this probably isn't the best idea, but I still went, and I was like I mean, not to say there were regrets, but it was just like, this was a waste of my time. I could have been sleeping, my gosh, you know, or doing something else more fun. Right. To like the other side of it where I've like just gotten together with friends that I really enjoy and so on and so forth. And it was just so much more fun. The memories were so much better.
There it is. I mean, I think that's a great mindset to have to go into it. And when we think about just like parties, there's like, I don't know, maybe learn from our experiences.
Sure.
I'm not saying we're the wisest people ever.
Yeah.
But
or that we made the worst decisions, but like.
Oh yeah.
still, you got lots of time to live, and you don't need the couple hours at a party. That's not glorifying to God at all.
Right. It really is like, if that is your sacrifice to God, let it be your sacrifice to God. If you're, I remember, do you remember Hannah in the Bible when she really wanted a son and she kept praying to God? She essentially was like, God, if you give this to me, then I'll I'll give him to you and worship you. And like, just that desperation, but also the pain that they went to with God. That's like, I really want this thing. And also I'm going to sacrifice it for you. Sometimes I think about like, what is your thing that you really, really want that maybe you really need to sacrifice? And we could say like, oh, parties aren't that important. But for some people, it's like, well, I have no friends and that's how I feel like I'm going to get friends. Or I have no community, or I feel like people keep telling me that's where all the stories are at, and people always have these great experiences, or that's what they talk about every Monday through Tuesday, or what they did this past weekend, and I'm not invited. But I would honestly say, like, if that's your sacrifice to God, let that be it. And I don't know about this. Like, it's just been in my heart recently to make that step, that action, and that decision in faith and see what God's going to do. Don't just not go to the party, but don't go to the party in faith. Yeah. And be like, God, I would rather spend my Friday or Saturday alone with you than be at this party. And I don't know if I like it or agree with it yet, but I'm going to do it in faith. And I think God's pleased with that. Oh, 100%. More than just being a morally upright person and not going to the party without faith and resenting God because he took away your fun.
Yeah, that's a great point. I love that.
Yeah. Any more thoughts?
Nope. I think we need to plan a few feasts, though. With food.
That's funny.
Nah.
Food needs to be a part of parties. That's what I got from this. Absolutely. Well, everybody, this is the group chat where we have meaningful conversations about meaningful topics. I'm Telos.
And I'm HB.
And we hope that you guys had a great conversation about this topic, because remember, everybody, we think in community, we talk in community, and we thrive in community. Y'all are the best. Hope you guys have great conversations. Have a great week. Peace.
Yeah.